Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Please switch on the video, Ashish. Ashish. Okay. So what is the next model? Next theory? What was the name of it?
Pass.
Pass. Pass model. And who proposed it? Who proposed the pass model? See the names. Underline that. Raina, read the names. JP.
JP Das, Jack Nelgiri, and
Jack Nagleri.
Nagleri, and
Okay.
Kirby.
Yeah. JP Das, Jack Nagleri, and Kirby. And in the year 1994. You all are 2004 products, no? 2004 or 5? Any 5s? 2005s? Igna. Others are 2004.
I'm 2003.
2003. Okay. Oh, so past models proposed by J.P. Das, Jack Nagleri, and Kirby in the year 1994. Then, what does the PASNS suggest? P stands for planning. Planning. Then A. Then what is A? Arousal, attention. Arousal or attention. Arousal or attention. And after that, we have 2S. That is simultaneous and successive. This is arousal or attention. That is why only one A is there. Either this A will come or this A is important. But S, two are there. What are they? Simultaneous. Simultaneous and successive processing. So basically, all these things are related to a bit of biology, and these systems are basically related to the neurological systems. Okay, just read that first paragraph. Amal, can you read the first paragraph? Past model, page number 9. This model has been developed by, read from there. Read. I'm asking you to read, Amal. Yes. Any other Amal is here?
The
other Amal is absent. Yeah.
This model has been developed by J.P. Das, Jack Nagleri, and Kirby in 1994.
Oh, okay.
According to this model, intellectual activity involves the interdependent function of 3 neuropsychological systems.
No neuropsychology there, only neurological.
I'm sorry.
Underline that, okay?
Yeah.
According to this model, intellectual activity involves the interdependent functioning of three neurological Okay. Again, there was a power failure. So back to our theory. What was the name of the model? PASS model. And PASS model stands for all these things, all these processes: planning, arousal, or attention, simultaneous, and successive. Okay, that is why two S are there only and only one A is there. Now, all these things are based on some neurological, what is that? Neurological systems. They are known as functional units of the brain. Underline that. These are not functional units. These are the different processes in this model. But here, these P, A, and S, they are based on some neurological system which are called as functional units of brain. That is a totally different thing. It is a bit more advanced than what is there in your textbook. So as of now, just understand that there are neurological systems which are known as functional units of brain. It is based on these systems that Das, Nagleri, and Kirby has brought about this PASS model. Understood? Okay. There are some neurological systems. According to this model, intellectual activity involves the interdependent functioning of three neurological systems. There are basically three neurological systems, and they are known as functional units of brain. So basically there are three functional units. Based on these three functional units, the PASS model works. That is, the planning is done according to that, the arousal is done according to that, then simultaneous processing is done according to that, successive processing is also done according to that. What is that? What is the that?
The neurological
The
systems,
neurological system which are known as
functional units of the
functional
brain.
units. Functional units of the brain. Okay, you just have to know that functional units are there. Okay, no need to study its names and all. It's not there for you to study. So you start with, we'll go in the same order as in the textbook. Starts with arousal, attention. And one more line was there. Amal, please complete reading that. And then
Yes,
complete
ma'am.
read. Yes. After functional units of these
These
units.
un these units are responsible for arousal or attention,
Hmm,
coding or processing, and
hmm,
planning, respectively.
Now you may think, where did coding or processing come from? Isn't it? Coding or processing means, I told you, it is simultaneous or successive processing. So both of them are processes there. All these are processes, but simultaneous and successive processing of information takes place. That is why it is called coding or processing. So there are three neurological systems. They are known as functional units of the brain. Based on these three neurological system or functional units of the brain, we have all these things. What are they? They are responsible for arousal or attention. Then they are responsible for the planning. Then they are also responsible for processing of information. Haven't you heard that? When you get some information from the stimulus in the environment, what is happening? You process that information. So that processing happens either simultaneously or successively, or it occurs simultaneously and successively. Okay. Usually it is and, simultaneous and successive. Then that is why it is called coding or processing. Above that coding or processing, just write simultaneous and successive if you want. Otherwise, again, after all the chapters, if you read again, you'll make a mistake there. Just write coding or processing means simultaneous and successive. Okay. Now, Grishma, start reading arousal or attention.
Arousal or attention.
Hmm.
State of arousal is basic to any behavior as it helps us in attending to stimuli.
Hmm.
Arousal and attention enable a person to process information. An optimal level of arousal focuses our attention to the relevant aspects of a problem.
Hmm.
Too much or too little arousal would interfere with attention. For
Hmm.
instance, when you are told by your teacher about a test which she or he plans to hold, it would arouse you to attend to the specific chapters.
Hmm.
Arousal forces you to focus your attention on reading, learning, and revising the contents of the chapters.
Okay. Are you in an aroused stage now?
Me?
Everybody. No.
Yes.
Yes. Ashish is sleeping.
No, ma'am.
No. Are you aroused? Are you in an aroused state right now? Are you attending the class right now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And um, when we were doing revision classes, when we had revision classes, when I tell you this is a sure question, suddenly everybody uh, flips through the textbook, find the question number, find the page number, underline it, mark it as very, 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 very important, and then you check that before the exam. You make sure that you learn that before the exam, isn't it? Until then, you will be thinking about what will be there for lunch, what would I do tomorrow, will I be able to complete my portions, how will I study all these portions. And suddenly when I say this is a sure question, sudden arousal, sudden aroused state. You tend to be awakened from the daytime sleep, isn't it? Yes, that helps in arousing you a little bit more, and then you focus your attention on that. When I tell about the sure question, then you focus your attention more on that question, isn't it? So your arousal state that is also increased, and then attention is also increased. So once you are aroused, then only you can attend to something. That is arousal or attention, that stage. Now read once more, just see what's happening there. State of arousal is basic to any behavior as it helps us in attending to stimuli. So what is important is you should have the optimum level of arousal. That is, if arousal is very less, then you won't attend to anything. If arousal is very high, you're very excited, you're very happy, you're jumping around, and then there are times when you miss something. You miss some information in the environment, isn't it? Like you have finished all your exams, your board exams are over, your results have come, and on the day of results you are very happy, enjoying, partying, and suddenly you miss some information that your mom told you, and next day she told, did you do that job? When did you tell me that job? When did you tell me about it? You might ask. Because you were too much aroused. You were not noticing it. So again, that will affect your attention. So what should be appropriate is an optimum level of arousal. Optimum level of arousal will ensure what? Ensure attention. That will help in the rest of the processes coming. Understood? Yes. So what is written there? Too much or too little arousal would interfere with attention. For instance, when you are told by your teacher about a test which he or she plans to hold, it would arouse you to attend to the specific chapters. That's true. Arousal forces you to focus your attention on reading, learning, or revising the contents of the chapters. Clear, no? All right. So the next one. Raina, read. Simultaneous.
And simultaneous and successive.
Successive. Yes.
Uh, Simultaneous and successive processing. You can integrate the information into your knowledge system, either simultaneously or successively.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Sorry to interfere. What do you mean by simultaneous? When do you do something simultaneously? Or what do you mean by you're doing the two activities simultaneously? I can give you an example. Like you are attending class as well as chatting in WhatsApp simultaneously. What does that mean?
Doing both the jobs together.
Yeah, doing both the activities together. Now, successive. What does that mean? Successive.
One after another.
One after another. Successive means one after the other. Haven't you heard about successors and predecessors? Yes. So the successive generation after your parents' generation is you. Successive generation after your generation would be your kids. Understood. So one after the other. Next. That is the meaning of successive. So simultaneous processing means it will happen at the same time. Successive means one after the other. Understood? In a series, like in a series. So what is the another successive number after one? What is the successive number after one?
2.
2.
Which is the successive alphabet after C?
D.
E.
D.
E. Okay. So understand what simultaneous and successive means. Yeah. Now read. Reina, complete.
Simultaneous or successfully. Simultaneous process takes when you perceive the relation among various concepts and integrate them into a meaningful pattern for comprehension.
Yes.
For example, in Raven's progressive matrix.
Matrices. Raven's progressive matrices. Sometimes we will do that or standard progressive matrices. It's a test. It is a psychological test. Okay. Hmm.
A design is present from which a part has been removed. You are required to choose one of the six options that best
Completes the design. So a design will be given and one part will be missing. So from options, you'll have to choose which will complete the design. That's it. It's a very easy thing. That's Raven's progressive matrix. That is given as an example for this. Then
simultaneously
simultaneous
processing helps you in grasping and the meaning and relationship between the given abstract
abstract figures.
figures.
Okay. In which multiple intelligence do we manipulate objects and find relations among them? Patterns, forms, designs.
Spatial.
Spatial intelligence. Yes. That was your topic, right? Yes. Okay. Then continue. Rena.
Success
Successive.
processing takes place when you remember all the information serially so that the recall of one leads to the recall of another.
Yeah.
The learning of digits, alphabets, multiplication table, etc. are examples of successive
Process. Got that? In simultaneous, what happens? Suppose the example given is Raven's progressive matrices. I won't be able to draw such a design, but something similar to that I'll show you. Yeah, yesterday I gave one series, right? Yeah, another one I'll give. This one. This one. What comes next? Okay, I'll give you 4 options. A, B, C, and D. What will come next?
D.
D. Because it's going in this direction, this direction, this direction, and another one has to be, last one has to be the other direction. So when you're doing this, you're processing this information, this information, this information simultaneously, isn't it? Suppose if you process this information, finally when you come to this information, you forget this one. If that happens here also, then will you be able to find this? No. So you'll have to simultaneously process all this information to find out what is missing here. That is simultaneous processing. In successive processing, what happens? Just like in alphabet learning. After A, B comes. After B, C comes. Then comes D, E, F, and so on. Understood? That is simultaneous and successive processing. Processing of information. Processing of information either simultaneously, that means at a time, or successively, which means one after the other. So when information comes, you should be in an aroused state. Then you have to attend to it. Then you have to process that information simultaneously and successively. Then what is the next step? Past model has
Planning.
planning. That is the next step. We'll read planning. Mehak, read planning.
This is an essential feature of intelligence. After the information is attended to and processed, planning is activated. It allows us to think of the possible courses of action, implement them to research a target, and evaluate their effectiveness. If a plan does not work, it is modified to suit the requirements of the task or situation. For example, to take the test scheduled by a teacher, you would have to set goals, plan a time schedule for study, get clarifications in case of problems, and if you are not able to tackle the chapters assigned for the test, you may have to think of other ways. Example, give more time, study with a friend, etc. to meet your goals.
Yes. So let's consider this thing as a whole. In arousal state, I told you that you have a test on Monday and you are supposed to study these particular questions. These are very important. Then you will be in an increased arousal state. You will attend to that question, isn't it? And then you process that information. You try to understand the answer when you sit for studying. You try to process that amount of information in the textbook by using simultaneous and successive processing. Then what do? You have to decide what is to be done in order to score good marks, in order to attend the test. So you sit either with your friend or alone. You watch YouTube videos, you watch the recorded class, you watch the tutorials, you do the sample papers. You decide to do all these things, isn't it? That is the way of planning that you do. And then you put it into action. So that is the whole, as past model as a whole. First, you should be in an aroused state. Then you attend to it. Then you do the processing of information in the form of simultaneous and successive. Then you move on to the planning. Got it? Yes. Now, Aishwarya, can you just summarize if you would have understood? Just as a whole, this one, past model.
Past model. So it includes the planning, attention or arousal, simultaneous processing and successive processing.
And
It was
what is it
introduced.
based on? It is based on
three neurological systems, which are also the functional units of the brain.
Which are also known as
the function units of the brain.
Functional units of brain. Slowly. No express trains.
They were
recognize the express train. Then
they were introduced by it was introduced by J.P. Das, Jack Napier, and Kirby in 1994.
1994. Very good. Then
the first stage is the arousal or attention, in which
it's not like stage, but these are different processes or functions happening based on this neurological system. Okay. First, we have discussed about arousal or attention. Tell me about that.
It is about when a person is in arousal, then the person is in attention. Too much arousal or too less of an arousal also affects the attention.
It will interfere with the attention. Yes, correct. Then
it enables a person to process the information.
can you give me an example? Planning, arousal or attention.
For example, when a student is told about a test, the student attends more to the test and the questions which are said to be important.
Yes, the sure questions. And then
And the next step, the next level is simultaneous and successive processing.
yeah, once you attend to the information, you're in an aroused state, you attend to that information, then you tend to process that information. And how do you process it?
We process the information in two ways. One is simultaneous processing.
Wait. Raina, which are the two ways in which you process information? Processing of information. After arousal and attention, you process that information. How do you process it? Simultaneously and successively. Okay. Krishma. Simultaneously means how do you process it?
When we understand the relation between different
Concepts.
figure,
Patterns or concepts.
and we can
Comprehend it. We can understand that. Simultaneously means all these things will happen at the same time. Now, what about successive?
one
Yes, one after the other. It will be like a series, just like the example I told you. What is the example? Example of successive processing. Anyone?
Alphabets and learning digits.
Alphabets and learning digits. That is, you know that after A, what will come?
B.
Who is the successor of A? B. And who is the successor of B?
C.
Who is the successor of X? Ashish? Who is the successor of X in the English alphabets? Huh? Y. Okay. People will think that I've started to teach you alphabets also. Okay, simultaneous and successive processing. So you have got one piece of information. You were in an aroused state. Then you have attended to it, and then you processed those information. Processed using two processes. Which were they? Simultaneous and successive processing. Finally, you have processed this information. Now what you should do? What is the next one, Meghna? Planning. And in planning, what do you do? Generally in planning, what do you do? If it's regarding a test example.
Plan all this. After information we get, we plan how to execute.
Yeah, how to implement that, how to score good marks in the test. You will take up all the important questions, then you will call up a friend, or you might do combined studies, then you might attend YouTube classes, online tutorials, then revision questions, isn't it? And finally, you study, you sit and study. The result, will you get the result or not, is the other thing after this. First, you have to plan, then you have to implement, and then you get all these results. So, this is the PASS model of intelligence. Did you understand this? Yes. And this planning, arousal, attention, then simultaneous processing, successive processing are all processes. So this will come under which approach? Psychometric approach or information processing approach?
Information processing.
Very good, information processing. Because it is related to different processes or functions regarding intelligence. Okay. Now, one important thing that you might forget in this theory is PASS model you might know. The proponents of PASS model you might know. But as an introduction, you have to write, this is based on the neurological systems. Don't forget that thing. Neurological systems. And how many neurological systems are there?
3.
Three neurological systems are there. And Elvina, what are the neurological systems otherwise called?
Functional units of brain.
Functional units of brain. So how many functional units of brain are there then?
Planning, attention,
No.
arousal.
Functional units of the brain. You told me neurological systems are also known as functional units of the brain. So how many functional units of the brain are there?
3.
Yes. If I twist up the question, don't confuse. Okay. Neurological systems are also known as functional units of the brain. So if 3 neurological systems are there, then how many functional units of the brain will be there? 3, because they are the same. And these processes pass. The whole pass is dependent on these 3 neurological systems. Understood? Understood now? Okay. Now just turn to the last page of this chapter, the questions, and find out the questions from the portion which we already finished, the backtext questions. Explain briefly, third question, take the third question. Explain briefly the multiple intelligences identified by Gardner. Mark that question. We have already completed that. Which are the multiple intelligences? Tell me one by one. Meghna.
Logic, mathematics.
Logical, mathematical. Amal Raj. One multiple intelligence.
Intrapersonal.
Intrapersonal. Elvina.
Bodily kinesthetic.
Bodily kinesthetic. Raina.
Spatial.
Spatial. Then Ashish.
Musical.
Musical. Yes. Grishma.
Linguistic.
Linguistic. Mehak. Interpersonal. Aishwarya.
Naturalistic.
Naturalistic. Correct. Correct. 8 are there. Thank God. Okay, so that is clear, right? Multiple intelligence. Howard Gardner explained multiple intelligence, which means the person who has, I'll tell you a statement. Just tell me if it is true or false. A person who has musical intelligence will always be having high linguistic intelligence. True or false? A person with musical intelligence will always have high linguistic intelligence. False. Why?
Because they're not connected with each other. Most people may have one type of intelligence. They may be intelligent in different aspects.
Exactly. Which means these multiple intelligences that our Howard Gardner explained, they are not dependent on each other. It is not necessary that one person is intelligent in all these fields. Suppose if I like to dance, you would like to sing. I might be good in dance, you might be good in singing. So I might be high in which intelligence? If I'm good at dance?
Bodily kinesthetic.
Bodily kinesthetic, very good. And if you are good in singing, then you are high in which intelligence?
Musical.
Musical intelligence. Got it? So you have to remember that all these factors, that is spatial, whether it be spatial, musical, bodily kinesthetic, or interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, logical, mathematical, whatever it be, they are interdependent. Which means if you get good marks in science and maths, that doesn't mean that you can easily dance and sing. Got it? As simple as that. Okay, I hope I have simplified that theory as much as possible. Yes? Okay. Now next one. Who is calling me with me?
Let me see.
Yes.
May one person have high intelligence in more than one field?
Of course, yes. The only thing is they are not interdependent on each other. But one person can have more than one combination. Suppose one might be high in all these intelligences. They are called gifted, that we learn. They are with very high IQ. We learned that in the section when we learned the formula. What was the formula? First class I told you. What was the formula for IQ?
CA
Louder, louder. IQ?
equal to MA by CA.
IQ equals MA by CA into 100. I haven't taught you what MA and CA are, but I want you to by heart this formula. This is most probably the sure question in board exams. And it's very easy to score this also. Okay, IQ equals MA by CA into 100. Next section is regarding that we'll study in the next class. But as of now, study this and keep. Okay, next question. See the next question, fourth one. How does the triarchic theory help us to understand intelligence? Such a question comes, write everything you know about triarchic theory. Triarchic theory. And how did we study that? Tri means? Three. Yes. How many arcs were there? 3 arcs were there. And that were related. How we connected that to the proponent's name. What was his name? Don't write
Robert.
Robert
Stern.
Sternberg. Robert Sternberg. Robert Sternberg proposed the triarchic theory of intelligence. And there were how many intelligences? How many types?
3.
3 types. Triarchic means 3 again. So starting with think and answer. Starting with Mehak said something. What was it? Componential, otherwise known as analytical intelligence. And in that, what happens? We analyze it and solve the problem. Simple. Then, second one was
Experiential.
Experiential, also known as
Creative.
creative. Very good. Experience. So, from that term itself, you can get a clue. Experiential. So, that will be based on past experiences. Very good. Past experience. Using past experiences, we create something new. The example that Elvina told was regarding scientists. That is correct. Then the third one. In triarchic theory, what is the third type of intelligence? Contextual. Context means a situation. So that is the what intelligence? Practical intelligence. Very good. So contextual intelligence, also called practical intelligence. In practical intelligence, what do we do? How do we use our practical knowledge? We apply it in what type of problems? Yes, to face with any challenges in the environment on a daily basis. For daily life problems also we use it. We apply it because it is practical intelligence. We apply that. Okay, that's clear, no? And triarchic theory is also one among the which psychometric or information processing?
Information processing.
Information processing. Very good. So that's also done. Now next question is, any intellectual activity involves the independent functioning of 3 neurological systems. Explain with reference to PASS model. In that you have to explain PASS model. That's it. So if it comes as an essay question, again, I've told you when you wrote exams for 11th standard, you have to write the name of the theory, then who proposed the theory, what is the theme of the theory. Write that as an introduction. Then as a content, explain about planning, then arousal attention, then the other one, successive and simultaneous processing. Then as a conclusion, write what is given in the question. This is how we explain this particular thing using our PASS model. Okay, then only you'll get full marks if you write so much. Okay, then that's it. Rest of the topic we'll deal with in the next class. Any doubt until now? I'm Reminding you again, daily revision is very important. Okay, so after today, we'll have class only on Monday. So study the portions till now and come. Somewhat revision is already done, right? Today itself, I've spoken 2-3 times about the same theories. So a little bit of effort from your side will do. At least Sunday night or Monday morning, read up and come. Okay, Amal, any doubt? No. Ashish? No. All cool? All set? Okay. Don't forget everything on Sunday and come back next week. Please. Because we need that for the upcoming classes, for the other concepts. Okay. Okay. Then try to apply all these intelligences and use these terms at home so you'll not forget it. Go tell your mom that you are having high contextual intelligence. Okay, fine then. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.